What's up, Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. The regular season is done, and we have more football to talk about, which is not a feeling we've had the last two seasons. So this is a great episode. This is episode 508, How I Kmet Your Mother. And welcome. I'm Kyle Smith. I'm joined by Kyle West. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Like we were saying in our private chat earlier today, just think about a year ago, because it is Black Monday, NFL head coaches, general managers getting fired, they're resigning. So about a year ago, we're sitting here doing a podcast talking about no more Rick Spielman, no more Mike Zimmer, and what a difference a year has made for the Minnesota Vikings, because now we're talking playoff football for this team.
Only team in the NFC North to make it to the playoffs.
Which is fun and bad at the same time, because there are other good teams. We watched the game last night, or at least I did, of the Detroit Lions sticking it to Green Bay, sweeping them, something the Vikings could not do to either one of those opponents this year. And sending Green Bay home, I think it's Aaron Rodgers' last game in Green Bay, which is bittersweet. But
it sure seemed like it.
Yeah, especially those comments we were talking
about.
It
had that feel. I don't know if you watch a lot of pro wrestling, but in pro wrestling, when there's a wrestler on NXT that's moving up to be on Raw or SmackDown, they always have this like emotional feel to the match, and afterwards they kind of like wave at the crowd and everything.
Yeah.
It had that feel when Rodgers said, "No, I'm keeping this jersey."
I think that pretty much answers it. And it's also funny that he is directly turned into openly drug-taking Brett Favre. Not the behind the scenes, like I'm going to go out and do all the hallucinogens publicly now because it's acceptable. He's turned into Brett Favre.
He loves the attention.
He does.
So this is going to be dragged out as much as possible.
I've seen a lot of speculation online and through other podcasts and the national media and stuff of where he might go. I think it's down to 3 spots right now. It could be a 4th. Who knows? It could be a wild card. But Tennessee makes a lot of sense because it's a shitty division and instant upgrade over Ryan Tannehill. They have okay rookie wide receiver, great running back, great defense. Their coach is wonderful, and he'll walk in and say, "Hey, look,
Tampa once Brady goes to Vegas."
Yeah, he could go to Vegas, and both of those guys, either one of those, could go to San Francisco, and immediately that place is going to blow up and be the favorite.
You know what's absolutely crazy though is how Kirk Cousins is older than any quarterback in the AFC playoff starter.
Adam posted that on his personal page, and it made me feel old too.
Yeah, the oldest quarterback in the AFC is Patrick Mahomes at 27.
I hate saying it out loud. That was 7 years ago for me. Almost 8 now. I'm
old.
Yeah, playoffs are set, though. We're going to talk about this game yesterday. The Vikings
coaches and GMs are getting hired that are younger than me.
Yeah. It sucks, too, because we just keep getting older, so they're going to keep getting younger.
Don't stop.
Well, let's talk about that before we talk about this meaningless game yesterday. 2 coaches have already been let go. Lovie Smith was the coach of the Houston Texans, and he kind of gave him a final jab on the way out, which was really funny, going for 2 and winning the game, getting them out of the first place spot on the number 1 overall pick, which the Chicago Bears hold now. And right before noon Eastern time today, Cliff Kingsbury was let go from the Arizona Cardinals.
That had to happen.
Which is hilarious because he signed an extension not even a year ago. So funny. The NFL is wild, man. He'll probably go back to college.
What have you done for me lately, League? That it's just disgusting.
Yeah, I like the way it's gotten so bad. The NFL had that statement a few weeks ago that was like, hey, we did the math, and this is what y'all are spending on fired personnel who no longer work for the clubs. So maybe ease up a little bit on it, and that's their shit. They ain't going to do that.
But for a lot of teams, it was so much the right move. I mean, look at Jacksonville. They had to get out of what they had going on.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the Lovie Smith thing is like, I don't, A, know why you hired him in the first place, but B, why did you put him in that bad of a situation? What were you expecting?
Well, here's to your point, Kyle. I'm here in Carolina, right? I live 30 minutes from Bank of America Stadium. I work fucking 10 minutes from there. Steve Wilkes is a hometown Carolina guy. Everyone in Carolina, I can tell you the heartbeat of that team here. They love this dude. He's gotten the team to play, and he's gotten some subpar, middle of the road at best players and overall team to fight really hard, kind of like the Lions did, and now they've taken that step, right? Guess who's interviewing for the Carolina Panthers job where they have reached out to?
Chip
Tom
Kelly.
Hanks.
Jim Caldwell. And it's like, I get it, but it's such a circus of rotating guys that have been here. They go to be a coordinator. They have success. Pretty soon, Leslie Frazier is going to leave Buffalo and go back and be a head coach somewhere.
Who's that coach that was punching players in the mouth?
What's that?
Who's that coach that was punching players in the mouth? That guy needs an interview.
Oh, God, I forgot about this. Maybe if you tell me the team, I might remember. I don't remember.
I don't remember one bit. It was a while ago, though.
But yeah, just to your point, Kyle, it's like these guys, it's just a circle and a circus of rehiring guys. Like Dan Quinn has been requested by the Broncos. He was the head coach of the Falcons. I think he was the Seattle D coordinator. He's the Dallas D coordinator now. He's going to get another shot. But I just thought it was funny. You have a guy who has all the support from the locker room, and he's a local dude here. And they're like, yeah, we're going to shop around, which I get it. You should.
Bill O'Brien's probably going back to Bill Belichick.
Probably, yeah. Somebody needs to go be an offensive coordinator there, not their defensive coordinator who's calling the offensive plays right now. So weird.
With his pencil on a laminated sheet of paper.
Shay, you bring up a good point that I was thinking about while the other guys were talking, and this is an obvious thing to say, but let's discuss it because it's so funny. Mathematically, the probability every year that you win a Super Bowl is 1 out of 32. That's not a good shot. Just mathematically before you factor anything in.
Right.
But it's so funny to watch. Like Adam was saying, Cliff Kingsbury had to go. If you have 2 pretty crappy seasons back-to-back, you are automatically on the hot seat if you're not already let go. And I just think it's funny. It's so hard to maintain Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Andy Reid, Mahomes' success. But that's what everybody wants. And the math tells you it's probably not going to happen. That's wild to me. So there's always going to be turnover. Colin Cowherd highlights it every year. He goes, at least 6 to 8 coaches every year get canned.
I'm hearing a lot of Packer fans right now who are even talking about LaFleur.
Oh, that's absurd. You don't have Devontae Adams that exposes a part of a weakness in your offense, and you're pretty much 2 plays away from the postseason, and you want to fire that guy.
And I'm not sure how good of a coach the Lions coach is, but man, it's hard not to like what that guy is when he's talking.
I love that he was honest in that sideline interview last night because, they give a lot of coach speak.
Speaking of coach speak, have you watched some of those interviews the Dolphins head coach gives?
Oh, I forget his last name, Mike something.
Yeah, did you watch the one about him, about why the team signed Mike Glennon?
No.
Why did you sign Mike Glennon? Well, I liked his first name.
I remember the week that we played them, I think it was week 6, Tua had a concussion, and it's a Friday before the game, hours before the game. And he's like, hey, guys, maybe one time this week, maybe if you want to, if you feel like it, we could talk about the Minnesota Vikings instead of Tua for the entire press conference. He's funny, man. He's a good guy. I like him.
I see your dog has joined the show.
Yeah, he's back. You're a menace, huh? I gave him table scraps earlier from takeout, and he is just on it. Andrew, what's up, guys? What's up, Shay, Jonathan, Charlotte? Sergio was up there earlier. The Packers team had no discipline last night. Yeah, that Quay Walker sure made me not a fan of him last night. That was uncalled for.
Did you see the video of him crying in the tunnel?
I watched it live. I watched the entire game rooting as loud as I could for Detroit to knock them out. And it was annoying. There was no need for that.
Yeah, once the Dolphins won, the only thing I could do is watch and see and hope that the Lions could win. That way Minnesota would make the playoffs in both Green Bay and Detroit because it's like 50-50 as far as fans where I live between Packers, Lions.
Yeah, Detroit had no shot yesterday. They were kind of irked earlier in the week, or at least going into the weekend. They wanted to play those games simultaneously, so they didn't know ahead of time whether they were already eliminated.
Seahawks.
But, the Seahawks got in because the Detroit Lions beat the Packers last night. Jared Goff played lights out. Rough start for the entire team, but it was nice to see a former Packer and Jamal Williams, running through his old team.
He is such a strange man, but I enjoy listening to him too.
Same. Odd fella, but he is fun to watch in interviews, and he has a good energy about him, which I like. But yeah, last night it was crazy. Kyle mentioned it earlier, and I forget which one of you said it, but the Vikings being the lone team from this division, watch out for the Lions, man. If they figure it out, they're going to be tough.
Oh, for sure. And I think they've kind of already figured it out. We were just looking at the draft order because of the draft, the trade with the Stafford trade.
What's up, Michael?
They've got a really high draft pick coming up, too. So with them having a pretty good roster, pretty good coach, starting to figure it out, they could add another big piece. Detroit is a team that we used to make fun of, and hey, there's 2 easy wins on the schedule, and it's going to be a lot tougher to play Detroit, I think, for the foreseeable future.
It's strange. All these quarterbacks that came into the season thinking, okay, well, they're not that great. Goff had a really good year, and then Geno Smith just absolutely came out of nowhere to have a really good year. I still don't know what they're going to do.
Well, I want to piggyback on that too, because it was one of the talking points last night in the post game. We all assumed, and if you guys felt different, please tell me, but we all assumed Jared Goff was kind of a rental or a bridge. Right. Yeah. I think they're going to keep him now.
Very well could.
He's a franchise quarterback, but the disappointment with the Rams and that Super Bowl they lost, and overall, that kind of sucked. And you thought a little negative because of him, because he couldn't win it with Sean McVay. How's he going to win in Detroit? But whatever they're doing over there seems to be going in the right direction. Aiden Hutchinson looks for real. They've got some good, not great corners. They've got speedy linebackers too, and their skill position groups are pretty good.
Did the Lions end with the worst defense in the league, or did Minnesota get that?
Oh, let's see how many yards they gave up last night.
Hopefully it wasn't 60,000 or whatever it was.
6,000 a game.
66,000 a game.
Oh, Chris Thomason, you big idiot.
I like what he was trying to do, but man, you gotta read that before you send it out.
I've just come to accept that he's just never going to go away, and he's annoying. But I get it. 291 yards total for the Packers. I think they edged us out barely. So the Vikings technically didn't finish with the worst defense in the league. They finished next to last, which was the Lions. If my math is right here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was watching with bated breath. The pass rush really affected Rodgers at the end, and he doesn't have that go-to weapon that can snatch it out of the sky and Devontae Adams anymore. Christian Watson looks good. Romeo Doubs looks good. Both their running backs are good. I don't know if both of them are going to stay because you're not going to be able to pay all of these guys. But that brings the question, and I promise we'll get to the Vikings game in a second, but I don't think Rodgers is going to be a Green Bay Packer anymore. There's the chance that he actually retires for good. So. I don't know if he wants to retire for good. I think he's still got ball left in him, but the thing is, he's going to cost a ton of money. So, and he's not going to go to a bad team. We know that.
Look, he can definitely still play. I do think this year is a bit of an anomaly for him, performance-wise. If he was to go to, like you said, a better situation, he'd play very well football. You wouldn't have any questions about that.
He went to Chicago?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's debatable. I think that it's going to come down to whether or not he wants to. And Aaron is a weird dude, and I don't know if he wants to continue to play football anymore. I kind of got those vibes all season listening to him on the Pat McAfee show that he would be perfectly fine going content. Yeah, he's content, man. He could go live in the woods in a cabin somewhere and be totally fine, totally complacent with not playing football.
3.7 yards is all Detroit was, worse than Minnesota.
So bad. The Vikings defense is so bad. And they're playing this weekend. It's so scary. To your point, Kyle, and we'll finish up on the Green Bay Rodgers stuff, is, man, he has turned into Brett Favre 2.0. All it's going to take is a team saying, we got your money. You don't have to come to training camp. We got veteran receivers. Our defense kicks ass. That's all it's going to take. And he'll be like, yeah, I'll see you guys in August. That's all it takes. And when he walks in the room, everybody, much like Tom Brady, is going to be like, holy shit, that's Aaron Rodgers. We got a chance. And then
or you could get a Russell Wilson situation where everyone's like, all we need is a quarterback. And here comes in Russell Wilson, and it's just, no.
That coach is so bad. And you know what's crazy? I don't think Sean Payton wants to go there. He'd much rather have the shiny new toy in L.A. and Justin Herbert. But it's going to be interesting to see who takes over that gig. because I want to see if it was just a fluke bad season or if Russell Wilson really did forget how to play football.
It's got to be a fluke.
Yeah, it's got to be. I give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll get your comments up in a second, guys. The Vikings played in Soldier Field yesterday. They ended the season 13-4, which is amazing. Last time they won 13 games, they went to the NFC Championship game.
You'd swear Justin Fields was the quarterback with 13 wins, the way the announcers talk about him.
It's so wild.
I know.
I don't hate the kid. I really do think he's got a special talent, but he's got to develop into a passer. And then I saw literally the dumbest tweet I've ever seen in my life. Adam brought it up yesterday, and I had to say something about it. It moved me so much how bad it was, and I had to post it on Twitter. Some guy said that Justin Fields' floor, the very bottom, is Lamar Jackson, a.k.a. an MVP player, and his ceiling is Patrick Mahomes. And he is close to neither one of those quarterbacks. And it's wild because I see the athleticism that you want to say and compare him to Lamar.
The floor is Denard Robinson.
Yeah, poor Denard.
Kyle and I said in the chat, I was like, he's a really good Joe Webb right now.
And weirdly enough, this is not our first time making fun of Denard Robinson on the Purple People podcast.
That's so funny. Yeah, that moved me yesterday. I was like, this is probably the dumbest thing. I've lost brain cells reading this. And yet, I believe that you think you're serious. I don't think it was a troll tweet, but goodness, man. Justin Fields did not play. We got the mighty Nathan Peterman yesterday with a whopping 114 yards passing.
But both Peterman and Cousins didn't play the whole game, so.
It's true. Cousins was 17 of 20, like 85% complete, which is phenomenal for him.
Between Mullins and Cousins, I believe there were only 5 incomplete passes.
Yeah, let's go to the box score here. 11 of 13 and 17 of 20. Yeah, that's crazy. 28 of 33 passing.
Some pretty good throwing of the football right there.
Overall,
good to see Irv Smith back out there on the field.
Let's talk about this too, because I didn't pay attention too much to the game yesterday. It felt like a preseason game, so I don't really have a game ball or a donkey to give out. But Kyle West has some opinions on who we should keep and who we shouldn't for next year.
I do.
You always do.
I always have opinions on these kinds of things. Dalvin Cook. I still am saying Dalvin Cook needs to go.
Can I ask one thing though that's weird about this? Because the money situation, much like with Adam Thielen, if Adam Thielen leaves, I'll be internally heartbroken, but logically speaking, I'd be like, see you later.
His cap is like $19 million next year, right?
It's a lot, and it's not worth it. But this is the first season Dalvin Cook stayed healthy, dude. And we're like, get rid of him.
Yeah, still get rid of him.
1,000-yard season.
Yeah, Cook plays the entire season with a shoulder brace.
Yeah.
And we're over here, get rid of him.
Get rid of him.
That's awesome. Good for you. You probably won't stay healthy or have 1,000 yards next year, or
that's wild.
Hold on the ball in crucial situations.
Eric, what's up? He said the anti-Packer / hating memes are so awesome right now. Yeah, Quay Walker didn't do the Packers any favors last night. That's really awesome. And my favorite one is the Peter Bukowski one, and I saved it. I'm going to send it to you guys in the chat. It's a guy walking down the street with a horn, and he's just blaring it real loud, and it's Vikings fans screaming at Peter Bukowski right now. Oh, that guy sucks. That's funny.
So what do you guys think, before we get too far off, on some of the veteran players, like potentially not coming back, like your Thielens or your Cooks or whatever?
I hope that we have more contributors like a Brian Asamoah. Maybe they're raw, but you see that they're going to be good. And I trust the coaches to do their job, but they've got to make the money work and all their wizardry. And that means people are going to.
Yeah, they better hope they can figure out the finances, and also hope that guys like Patrick Peterson come back for another year, and that Harrison Smith continues to play at a high level, because he had a really good season this year. Well, Eric Hendricks sticking around would be nice.
Yep.
If there's ever a season that would invigorate people to stay, it would be this one. Brian O'Neill posted, as we know, he's on IR. His season is done thanks to that partial Achilles tear. He said this is his favorite team he's been a part of so far, and he said it's been really fun to play with these guys.
I'm hoping that corner of the Vikings signed from the Bears gets to be able to stick around a little bit.
Duke Shelley. Shout out to Duke Shelley. That dude plays like he's 7 foot tall. I love him.
He really wanted an interception against the Bears, and guess what?
He got one.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was that stat that I shared with you guys? He had some crazy...
Yeah, he's like the 3rd overall corner this year, but he doesn't play that often, but when he did step in, he's been pretty lights out.
So he played 5 games, and he did not allow a touchdown and recorded 10 pass breakups, 4th in the NFL.
We didn't get to see much from Andrew Booth.
I'd like to see him, and obviously we're all question marks and hopeful for Lewis Seen. Because let's be honest, the safety position can be upgraded opposite Harrison Smith.
Josh Metellus has played well while filling in, and on special teams. So if nothing, he'd be great to have stick around for special teams and reserves.
The Vikings yesterday, I'm looking at the defense here, 6 pass breakups, 1 sack.
How about that gift of an interception that was given to Patrick Peterson? That was lofted right to him.
It's a shame he didn't make the Pro Bowl. I know I've seen that floating around Twitter too.
Yeah.
The dude's had a great year.
He really did have a good bounce back season. I still think he's a Hall of Fame player. There's been a bit of a question about that, but I say
I love how Vikings fans on Twitter too are trying to make out any kind of switch to get, a different quarterback in Minnesota. Like, okay, if we trade Cousins and this guy, we can get Lamar Jackson.
No.
I don't know if you guys have figured this out to whoever Adam's talking to, but this coach actually likes our quarterback. He's not going anywhere. And you know what? I've accepted it. I've accepted Kirk for what he is. And even though he finished the year with 29 touchdowns, 14 picks, he quarterbacked the team to 13 wins. And the crazy part is we've watched, and I know you two specifically, but all of you listening, we've watched Kirk take a Bill Goldberg spear right to the chest.
While
he lofts just bread in the basket to whatever receiver or tight end. You're like, holy shit, I've never seen him do that before.
I don't know if you guys read my article that came out this morning, but in that article I said there are a lot of stats out there that people are using to measure this team, but wins are really the only one that matter in the long run, and it's why Minnesota is a playoff team while these other teams are sitting at home.
Yeah.
I mean, you can talk about DVOA or point differential for over the season or whatever. But man, when it came down to it, this team found ways to win. And that should scare almost any team. I guess the Giants are not scared whatsoever, though. In fact, I shared a quote that I found in an article from ESPN about an offensive lineman for the Giants who was talking about how they thought US Bank Stadium would be louder and they were a little disappointed.
That's the wrong thing to say. Oh, that'll be fun. I will be the most mad you guys as listeners have ever heard me next week if we lose to Daniel freaking Jones. I am so sick of hearing about how good he is. I hate him. He's not good. He is not good. 5 games in an 18-game season, he didn't throw a touchdown this year. The one job you have to do, and he didn't throw a touchdown. 5 games, 3 in a row. And people are just watering at the mouth. I'm like, why would you accept mediocrity like that? I get it. You won 2 Super Bowls with Eli. He kind of looks like him. Hell, he plays like him sometimes. Allow yourself to be better, New York Giants.
If you squint kind of hard, he kind of looks like Eli Manning, too.
He kind of does. Yeah. This is about being better to yourself, all right? Don't set your standards so low, New York. You found your coach. Coach is great. Go get some receivers and find a better quarterback. It's not that hard. But if the Vikings lose to the Giants this weekend, I'm going to be the most mad.
I believe Minnesota's opened as 3-point favorites.
That scares me.
Well,
I like being the underdog.
You're not going to be the underdog if you're the number 3 seed.
That's the even spread for any team that hosts at home. That's the Vegas standard. If you are the favorite or if it's 0-0 and you're hosting it, you get the 3 points because it's at home. So I see that, but that means on a neutral site it would be a pick'em game, which is
last time these two teams fought, went right down to the line with a kick making the difference. So I can see why this would be such an even line on a neutral field.
I expect to see this team fired up on Sunday.
This crowd better be louder than I've ever heard them before.
What's great is all these games are primetime games now that we entered the playoffs, but it's not the night game, which we were hoping that it wouldn't be. This will be at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. So, and it's Sunday. They get the extra day, the full week
instead of this coming Sunday.
It
is.
Nice. I'm off work, so
one day after the Royal Rumble.
Oh, nice. Oh, when's the Royal Rumble? This coming weekend, Adam?
Saturday.
Saturday? Ooh.
Saturday night, only on Peacock.
I will be buying the cock to watch that one.
Yeah, you buy that cock.
I already have it.
Royal Rumble is
Superfan episodes.
I was going to say, I'm sure Adam will agree with me. Royal Rumble is by far the best.
That's the one you got to watch if you're a wrestling fan.
Doesn't matter if you haven't watched all year. You got to tune in and you got to see it.
Oh, yeah.
So rewinding the clocks back, 9 plus 7 is 16 today. Adding a couple more to be 3 weeks apart. These teams will have played within 3 weeks of each other. The last time on Christmas Eve, Vikings win 27-24 on a Greg Joseph 61-yard field goal, which was insane. More of that magic from the season happening in this game. But I think it's going to be tough. We saw and we predicted it on the show, and we had Wink Martindale had that Harry Styles quote, which was hilarious. Didn't know you had a crush on our head coach so much you gave him a nickname of a celebrity. That's cute. We knew he was going to bring the blitz. He blitzed on like over 25% of the.
Am I the only classic game show fan that like just my mind completely starts wandering when someone says Wink Martindale?
That's a fun name. That is definitely a game show name. That's correct. But yeah, they blitzed a lot, and Kirk had a lot of pressure in the face. So I don't know if we expect to see more quick passes and screens or whatever else, but the defense is what I want to see. I have no problem with the offense adjusting because we have the personnel. Herb Smith is back. There's a possibility we get Garrett Bradbury back.
Bradbury's being evaluated for the first half of the week to see how he's doing, and they're going to make a decision then on how it's going. And same thing with the backup left tackle. They're like taking a look at him and hoping they can have him for the Giants game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brandell.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well, I tell you what, there's really only one key to victory for me for this game, and that's Justin Jefferson. That's 18. And what is he needs to have one of those games where he goes out there and he puts.
I thought you were going to say stabbing Daniel Jones.
I mean, that would help too. No, he needs to have a dominant performance out there on the field. If he wants to be called the best receiver in the league, he wants to work his way to the Hall of Fame. Okay, kid, you're in the playoffs. Go out there. Is this
the other guy where someone shoots Derek Jeter?
I'm unaware of this, but I want to watch. Is it pay-per-view or is it cable?
No, the other guy's the movie with Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. You've never seen that?
Yeah, no, I remember now. Somebody posted on Twitter the other day, said one of my favorite intros of all time. It's The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson jumping off that building.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of what I'm thinking? Aim for the bushes.
He shot Derek freaking Jeter.
Oh, it's so funny. We used to reference that all the time at work when I was in the Air Force. Being a cop, you always had a gun on you. They're like, "Did you do your desk pop yet?" I'm a bit worried about the entire right side of our O-line. Yeah, same. But that's what it is. And I'm with Jonathan here. I don't think this Vikings team makes it deep into the playoffs. I think their ceiling is the NFC Championship game, and that's very iffy. I think they're bounced out of the divisional round. If they beat the Giants, which they can, they're going to have to go to San Francisco, barring Seattle beating them, which I don't think that'll happen. The San Francisco team is a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. They are not a good matchup for this team, but that's looking too far ahead right now.
Yeah, 49ers are so tough in the trenches that, it's just gross.
It is. That's honestly the model that I wish this Vikings team would go after is their D-line and O-line, Philly's D-line and O-line. It's just it starts there, and they're so aggressive and so just, hey, we're going to do whatever we want to with you. And they make less than great people look good. That's not a knock on Jalen Hurts more than it is Brock Purdy is out here slinging the ball around. And
yeah, I wouldn't feel great about Minnesota facing off against the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Eagles. Any of the teams that really beat Minnesota early in the season would not be the best.
So Thomas said that there's a lot of weird ways this could go. Let me pull up my stuff here. Sorry if you guys get a little feedback with my phone being closed.
But if the Seahawks do beat the 49ers, that'll be interesting because then Seattle will go to Philly.
And we would play the winner of Dallas and Tampa Bay.
Which I don't think there's a good pick among those.
I don't want to play either one of those teams.
I really don't want to play Dallas again. I suppose I'd take Tampa out of that scenario.
I don't think Dallas makes it out of Tampa Bay just because we watched Washington throttle them yesterday, and they just don't seem to have good steam going in. Tom Brady's very good against the Cowboys historically, but
I was going to say at the end of the day, I still come back to it. You going to bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs? No.
I wouldn't. Even if they go to Philly, I think Philly's a way better team than them, but if anybody could bring it down to a 2-minute game-winning field goal setup drive, it would be Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Please retire.
Yeah, any sort of best case scenario would probably involve Minnesota playing at home.
Yep.
Especially since they only lost one game at home the entire year, even though that one game was to Dallas.
Yeah, it's the enigma of this team, and the kind of the question mark is which team is going to show up. I think Philly really outclassed them, but I also think it was early in the year in week 2 they had been beaten. There is a formula, but the execution is going to be tough. I think Dallas pretty much toyed with their food with the Vikings, and that was really frustrating to watch. And I go back to Kyle's point. If these corners double up on Justin Jefferson and they get physical with him, it's going to be a tough day. That seems to be the one and only answer that really good corner teams have, is to jam him and make him frustrated with physicality. So we'll see if the Giants use that game plan, but he's still Justin Jefferson. I still have faith in him. So we'll see what happens.
If nothing, we might see another game where Hawkinson gets 14 targets.
Yeah, at this point, we don't really care how they win. Yesterday, I was listening in to the Giants-Eagles game, which, by the way, I'm a Giant hater this year because of one of my coworkers being obnoxious. But I think they have a really bad run defense, they said. I can't believe they just laid down and said, we'll take the 6th seed and just let their division opponent play their backup. Pretty much gave them the 1 seed yesterday. That was baffling to me. I don't.
Yeah, Detroit wouldn't do that. No way.
I don't understand that. It's such a bitch move. And here's my super counterpoint to that is, I want to say counterpoint. The add-on to that is, if you beat Philadelphia in Philly and you go into the playoffs, do you know how confident that team would have been?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even wanted to watch that game. Like, they just beat the Eagles in Philly. They're going to steamroll us. Oh my God. They laid down and let Philadelphia get the 1 seed. Bitch move by you, New York. Not a good look. All that just to get thumped in the wild card. I'm calling it now. I hate you, Daniel Jones.
Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about KJ Osborne, who I think has turned into a really good option at receiver for the Vikings as well, too. He had that really nice catch and run that went in for a touchdown at the beginning of the game. I think it was on the opening drive, actually. Was it, I think, the longest play the Vikings ran this year?
Was it? I don't.
Yeah, I believe so.
I'd have to check back. I got to see bits and pieces of it yesterday.
I like KJ Osborne. I like what he brings to the table. I think that we've seen Adam Thielen decline steadily throughout the year. He's still a solid contributor in the red zone. I think that that's where you get your most production out of him. So I like that KJ he's stepped up his game, I think, pretty well for the Vikings. You can rely on him out there to help kind of fill in that role for that number 2 receiver.
I don't know. I still think Hawkinson's the number 2 receiver if you look at it that way.
Well, but, I mean, I wouldn't argue.
Wright is definitely finding a way to get open when attention is on the other 2. He can definitely slice his way through traffic very well.
Mm-hmm. Did you say Wright?
It did.
I thought you were. Are you calling him Jarius, right?
You always do.
I miss that guy. No, I see what you're saying, Kyle. Adam's right. T.J. Hawkinson is technically the second.
No, you said right.
He's the second after Justin Jefferson. But what I would like to see the Vikings do if Adam Thielen doesn't return is just to find more speed. And I think KJ has kind of the combo of all of those, but I think some of that too is he's not going up against the one or the two corners sometimes. Maybe he's playing the nickel, or maybe he's got a good matchup against a linebacker and he's outrunning them. But I would like to see more speed, just to stretch the defense a little bit, because Thielen, his separation is what I love the most. Those crisp, clean routes that he used to run.
Mm-hmm.
Trade for Chase Claypool.
Give a first for him. Ugh. Chicago. I can't believe we had thought about getting that GM. Good Lord.
I mean, we traded for Jalen Reagor, so
I think Reagor had a much better season
eh.
than Chase Claypool did after the trade.
When you guys going to stream after the playoff game? My guess is Monday, man. Monday seems to work for all of us, Thomas, and
unless it goes historically bad and we're all pissed off.
Yeah.
Then we might do it right after.
Give me a day if we shit the bed like the last
Yeah.
time they played the Giants in the playoffs. Yeah, Monday most likely. That usually works for us.
Yep.
I would love to do it the day of the game, but Sundays normally at work, and we want to give we want to be able to schedule it out so you get a notification on YouTube or Facebook.
I also usually have work to do right after the game too, so
yeah,
it usually works best on a Monday or Tuesday, depending on when people don't have other obligations as far as work or family or what.
Probably Monday. Thomas, the Duke is on fire. That's fine.
Oh no! Speaking of the Duke, I believe yesterday was David Bowie's birthday.
Oh, nice. Maybe that's why it popped up on my Apple Music. I did some. Where it gets to pick whatever for you. It's kind of like a radio station back in the day. You had Pandora or like Spotify, similar artists, and he came up quite a bit. Maybe that's
probably is why.
Jalen Naylor is speedy and has showed some promise. That's true. I get impatient, man.
I hardly even know her.
I'm still not sold on all these guys, building within. That's how little trust I have with the Vikings developing guys. You get JJ because he's an obvious pick. I guess KJ is a good example of that.
I think a lot of times too, we get these Vikings players coming in and we get a taste for them and we start to really like them and we think they can develop into more than they really are. Like, Charles Johnson and all that.
BC Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still would like to see what BC has, but I mean, not if you can get a player with a higher ceiling in there.
Is he still on this roster?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're still on IR again, which is unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
we're all still shell-shocked from Rick Spielman taking all these project players that none of us want to believe in anyone
PTSD,
anymore.
Man. We have PTSD from he's got promise. I'm like, that's all he's ever had. Yeah. Give me more than promise, man. I can't hope and shit in my hand. Both of them, one of them's going to fill up. You know what I mean?
Look at what the Vikings have recently done. We traded for T.J. Hawkinson. Worked out pretty well. Signed Duke Shelley. Hey, he seems to be doing pretty darn good for this team as well, too.
The draft has not been pretty, though.
Yeah, the draft, we don't know with Lewis Seen. The injury sucks. They took the chance on Andrew Booth. He had injury history. That's why you fell to us. And the injury history continued to plague him. So, that's a little...
The free agents have been good, though. And I know Patrick Peterson came before Kwesi did, but he wanted to stay, and it's worked out well. Some of the draft looks promising. I don't think Ed Ingram's horrible. He's better than some of the options we've seen on the line. I like Brian Asamoah, the potential there.
Yeah.
He seems like one of the better picks that they've had. But
you even look at the team. Okay, so we picked up David Blow, however you pronounced it, out there on the practice squad, and
he gets sniped.
he sat with us for a bit, goes out there and actually does pretty well for Arizona. So that gives you a little bit of faith of, hey, maybe they can actually recognize talent.
You know what? My favorite too, and we'll do all this later, guys and girls that are listening. Like we'll talk about this once the season's over. But probably my favorite thing that this whole new regime has done, they got rid of Sean Mannion like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Get him the fuck out of here and got a competent, semi-young, like serviceable quarterback that can come in and maybe win you a game. I love that. That's my favorite part of this offseason. I know they had some cool little splashy moves like the Hawkinson trade, but that's my favorite one. When he stepped into play yesterday, I was like, oh, cool. I don't expect him to throw like an interception almost on every time he drops back. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a nutshell, that's the week. The Vikings beat the Bears 13-4.
There's a lot of backups in action against the Bears. As far as notable things that happened, there weren't. As far as injuries go, Minnesota was pretty lucky there.
Yeah, I think it was smart to pull the players too.
Yeah.
I think it was good to play them though. Treat it like a preseason game. Give them a little bit more time to gel and say, hey, look, chill, support your teammates, support the depth, and they got the job done. Even if they lost yesterday, they were pretty much guaranteed the 3 seed, but I like to see them still compete.
I do feel a little bad for Zadarius Smith, though, because he had to sit the game. Well, he sat the game out half a sack away from getting a bonus escalator on his contract.
Oh, yeah, I would have had a problem with that. I would have had a big problem with that if I were him. I'm sure he'll take a postseason win over that, but that's money's money. Money's good.
I loved that I shared in our private chat this thing about what Kenny Golladay needed to get his bonus for the Giants. It was like 78 receptions or something like that and 800 and some yards. It was ridiculous.
The Kenny Golladay stuff was so funny. The internet's my favorite place in the world.
But then he went out and had a touchdown in the game in Week 18. So
yeah, on Darius Slay of all people. It's crazy. I don't know. Bears are officially on the clock. Andrew typed out Bears. Bears. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. This is going to be a really interesting offseason.
Do they go for a dominant defensive line, or do they trade down and try to pile up some picks?
I think after you fuck up the Chase Claypool situation, I think you got to get more picks. The thing with the Bears is they need help everywhere. So I think the more chances you have to nail a draft pick and get it right, then
you ask a Bears fan though, and all they are is a wide receiver away.
Keep telling yourself that. Oh, that's funny. They got rid of one of your best linebackers. He immediately, when Roquan Smith went to the Ravens, their defensive numbers skyrocketed. And I get it. Like, Cowherd had a good point about that. He goes, you guys have never been good on offense in any time that I've ever watched you. And Kirk Cousins would be the all-time passing leader there in his short time with Minnesota, translated to the Bears. But they've always been defense. You want to surround Fields with a lot of good talent, but they just got to get the line right first.
They've never had a 4,000-yard passer.
That's so crazy. Meanwhile, Kirk finished the year number 4 overall with like 4,500 yards.
Trade him for like a Marcus Mariota.
Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, and Kirk Cousins. Not in that particular order. I think the 2 in the middle are swapped, but he was slinging the ball this year. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, the Bears have the number 1 pick. I think they'll trade out. The Colts are up there. One of my good buddies, shout out to Matt. He's a big Colts fan. They had to go through it this year. I'm sorry. The Jets are looking for an upgrade. The Raiders are looking for an upgrade. I'm trying to think who else. Carolina needs it. I see what you did there. Jim Harbaugh may be coming to the NFL, so it's going to be a wacky, wild offseason. But
Indy might need some help.
Yeah, they need a coach.
Indy needs a lot.
Yeah,
which is weird because their defense isn't that bad. They've got good offensive linemen and weapons. I mean, they've got pieces. Kind of like Detroit has pieces too. They just need to get it all figured out. Then they'll be a scary team.
That's a good point. But yeah, we'll get into the offseason when it gets here. Hopefully we don't have to talk about it for another month.
Yeah, we're not in any rush to jump into draft talk or anything like that. So,
hoping the Vikings can keep that luck rolling and figure out ways to get through this next month and do the impossible.
They 100% can beat the Giants. It's will they? That's still the question with this team is will they actually do it? I don't know.
Because what I did last night after watching that game, I went to bed super late last night, but that's a good point, Kyle. I watched some of my favorite clips from this year. And you start with week 1, the beat down of the Packers. You're like, man, that's cool. And then you watch this 8-game winning streak they go on, and you see we forget. You've forgotten about this already, Kyle. I know you. We went to London this year and beat the Saints by a field goal.
Yeah, what? that happened.
We don't think about that.
Yeah.
You think about last year. I remember where I was sitting, what I was doing, watching the Arizona game. That's when I told you guys about the story about talking to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers scout about Dalvin Cook and how he was almost a Buccaneer. Missed a field goal. And I told the guy, I was like, they'll find a way to screw it up. This year, every time I keep it in the back of my mind. They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. And they've done it so many weird times over and over and over. They beat Detroit on a field goal. The Giants, miracle field goal. I mean, they do all these weird, wonky things, and they figure it out, and they still finish the year with a negative 3-point differential, which I don't know how that's possible, but I don't know.
That's also, I agree with Adam. That's also not something I had heard about before this season or cared about prior to it being brought up right now.
Well, this brings me back to the point that I had like a week ago or 2 weeks ago is this. I brought up the conversation of situational football and how like last year, you remember we gave the winless Lions their first win and we were all pissed after that game. The Vikings were that was such a bad ending to a game, right? We're so pissed because in the situations that matter most, they crumbled. But it seems like the overwhelming majority of this year, when you need a big play, Duke Shelley comes in and breaks up an overtime touchdown in Buffalo. Patrick Peterson seals the interception there.
Harrison Smith grabs one.
All these plays we're talking about, and they thrive under the pressure and the lights this year. It's the games that get out of hand early that bother me. And that's what they need to do. They need to drive down on their first possession and score. They need to get a couple defensive stops. And then this team's in a pretty good driver's seat to figure it out. But this is the test. This is the playoff test. This is where the good teams get great and the bad ones get exposed. So I hope you're right, Kyle. I hope that this team wins. We know they can beat the Giants. They just did it a couple weeks ago. The question is, will they do stupid shit like they did in the Colts game and just shoot themselves in both feet to start the game and do some weird stuff? I don't want to see anything like that.
Or if they didn't.
you know that's how it's going to go. It's going to come down to a field goal. It happens every time. And I'll point it, if it doesn't happen like that, I'll make the case now. If the Vikings go in and beat the Giants handily, 31-20, all you'll hear Monday is, well, it's the Giants. It's a rebuild year. They're not that good.
Yeah.
They're not going to give them any credit for it. So prepare yourself for that if that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's okay. They finally made the playoffs, guys. The last time they made the playoffs, they went to New Orleans and they won and they shouldn't have. That's how long ago it was. The Kyle Rudolph push-off touchdown. Kirk Cousins throw of his life before that. So this is exciting. We haven't been there in a while, and it's cool to root for the team. And I'm glad they have a home playoff game. That's good for them.
I like Eric's comment. Leave the draft talk to the other 3 teams in the NFC North.
I love this comment, too, from Andrew. Are the Vikings a Super Bowl quality team? Absolutely not. But will they let that stop them?
Who knows? You don't know.
No, there were teams Minnesota beat this year that I did not think that they would have beaten.
Yeah.
They've exceeded my expectations. So, I mean, who am I to tell them they can't do something?
I'll be at 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 Viking games next year. So I'm excited to watch this crew and see what happens.
There are still single game tickets available for the playoff game on Ticketmaster. So if you're going to go, be loud, be rowdy, have fun, cheer as loud as you can, have a good time because, man, this season has been just such a nice surprise.
I think that's all I got, folks.
Awesome.
Let's go, Vikings. Beat the Giants. figure out the divisional round for next weekend. But Vikings, NFC North champs, hosting a playoff game Sunday, 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. We will wrap it up
What time
Monday.
Pacific?
Let's see, 4:30, 1:30 Pacific.
There you go.
2:30 Mountain Time.
I don't know how you West Coasters do it. That's too early for this guy.
You know, the good thing would be watching the night game at 5:30 p.m.
Why would that be good? I don't want that.
I can't. I get so tired when, like last night, I had to go crack a soda and be like, I need sugar or something. I can't stay up this late. Even my hatred for the Packers gets sleepy sometimes.
It's about 7, and I'm thinking it's about bedtime here in about an hour.
Yeah. Oh, hey, before we go, I know we're going to do our typical stuff to shout stuff out here, but I wanted to put it out. If you go in about 30 minutes, Adam and I are going to do a movie review after this on his channel. You can look it up on Twitch, on YouTube. We're going to be reviewing the movie The Menu that just came out recently. It's still in theaters, actually.
Also on HBO Max.
So it's a thriller. It's a good one. Can't wait to talk about it. Wanted to promote that really quick. I have a show this Friday. If you're in the Charlotte area, come see me at Grape and Barley, a nice little wine chill bar in my hometown of Gastonia. So just booked 2 more shows today. So my year is starting out with music, and more music. Follow me here and see what my dates are. Adam?
Hopefully your date is a long-legged brunette.
That's my type. That is my type.
But yeah, you can check out my work over on the Viking Age. I've been putting out articles after each game with some takeaways that came out in the morning. So if you want to go check that out, that'd be great. I always helps put a little bit of coin in my pocket, get some kitty litter and cat food to be able to help these guys out, make them happy because they like that stuff. I also enjoy having electricity and things like that. So yeah, if you could help me out paying the bills, that'd be fantastic. Plus, you get to read some interesting Vikings content. I also do stuff once in a great while over on Twitch. I'm trying to be active on Twitter, but there's almost no engagement these days, so it's kind of boring. I hope for a little bit more engagement soon. I don't know if you guys are having the same kind of experience over on Twitter, but
yeah, it's been pretty dry for me. I'm not gonna lie. I'll post a lot about the Vikings, and I'll get 3 or 4 there, but there's that weird circle of the Viking community that if you're not the popular kid,
I'm not in the clique.
Yeah.
That's all of Twitter at this point. It almost doesn't matter what the subject is, whether it's Vikings or film Twitter or horror Twitter or whatever.
And I refuse to pay for the blue check mark too. I refuse to do it. I know it looks good if you have a good page, but I can't bring myself to do it. And yeah, I got nothing too.
I can actually get the check if I do it on my Chromebook, but not on my Android phone.
Oh man, why is that?
I don't know, but I'm still not paying $8 a month on auto renew. No, thank you. I don't like auto renew anything.
Yeah, it's tough for these movie subscription services for me to do that.
I don't mind the ones that aren't a lot of money, but like Paramount Plus will do a whole year for you if that's what you did. And that one hit me a little bit harder. I was not expecting that one.
Yeah, it's cool when they tell you they're going to renew. That way I can go.
But like Peacock's only $5 a month, so
yeah,
that one I don't mind as much.
I had that stupid NFL Network Plus bullshit.
Yeah, you and your NFL Plus.
NFL Plus sucks.
Auto resubscribed without me knowing about it.
Now, do you get all the playoff games with that? Since there's only one game on a time and they're basically a national broadcast.
What's the NFL? So probably not.
I found out that you can the easy go around that, and I'm speaking on behalf of Kyle too because I got suckered into that and I want my money back because it sucks.
Yeah,
it makes you think you can watch any game anywhere, and it could not be farther from the truth.
I mean, you can watch the replays, that's how I've been keeping up with the Vikings when I'm at work. So I do like that aspect of it.
It's annoying because it's misleading thinking you're in the moment going to be able to. And like, no offense to you, you work and then you watch it later. Like, I'm just obnoxious. I'll stream it at work on my phone and like covertly set it up somewhere. But it's frustrating because you pay that money. It's not available. They don't care. They're not going to give us our money back. I download the NFL Fantasy Football app, which is I was only in one league this year, and it was with the NFL Fantasy app. I can watch the same local games for free on there. And that's where you'll find them on your phone if that's what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Download the NFL Fantasy app. You'll get to watch all of them.
The app is also – we're definitely not sponsored by the NFL. The app is also a giant piece of shit. We say that every time. It will freeze up in the middle of a replay, or it lags when you try to load a game up, and it'll crash your browser. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I thought I had a solution from not having to go on the third-party sites to do that, and the lagging and the pop-ups, but
now with YouTube TV buying Sunday Ticket, it looks like the price is going to stay about $300 for the season, which is a bit much for me.
That sucks. I don't know if I'll do it. I might just have to keep streaming. Pirate life.
Yeah, right.
It's a bit much for regular working people.
It's the principle. I was talking about this today with one of my best buddies. I want to go see Dave Chappelle in Charleston, South Carolina. I am not paying $750 for nosebleed seats. I'll watch your YouTube and Netflix specials in the comfort of my home. Can I afford it? Sure. Am I giving you that much money? Absolutely the fuck not. I'm not doing it. I won't go to major concert venues anymore and watch big bands. I'll go to the local theater or the local club and we'll watch up and coming bands because the ticket's still $20 a person. Can't do it.
It's also fun to see those old bands that are just like book a small venue to do intimate shows.
Yeah.
A good regional circuit band is my favorite now in this mid part of my life. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to go to an amphitheater. Watch the college kids get hammered. I don't need to do that. Anyway,
another thing that I'm too old for is festivals. No, thank you.
Oh man, sorry, I'm checking.
But I will find a way if the Vikings do end up winning something. I am going to a parade. That's for sure. I'll find a way to make that work.
Yeah, if they win the Super Bowl, I've already booked it down. I'm going to the parade. That will be inebriated, so let's root for that to happen. Need somebody to watch these dogs for a weekend.
But we're waiting on Wes to promote himself with his link down there.
Yeah.
Okay. You can check out some of my photography work using the link down below on the screen. Or if you are listening, just check out our Facebook page, Purple People Podcast over on Facebook. We have a link where you can check us out. You can get merchandise with our logo. You can get some of my photography, all that kind of good stuff. You can share it around to your people who don't interact with you on social media.
You know, that guy you went to high school with that added you for a reason that you're not quite sure of.
Yeah.
Pyramid scheme.
Yep.
Message inbound.
Uh-oh. It could also be that single looking for action in your area.
How'd I get so lucky? In my area, you say?
In your area.
I want to give the Survival League winner a shout out. I will be sending your stuff out in the next week or two. Got behind, but I haven't forgotten about you. I've got your message, and it'll get to you soon. So
I'm going to be that guy and be like, that's from all of us.
Yeah, it's from all of us. Why not?
I didn't do nothing, but I'll take credit. I don't want any of the responsibility, but all of the credit.
I'll give you guys the credit. This is a group project. We all get A+ around here.
But thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat, especially the ones that stuck around and listened to us ramble on there for about 15 minutes. Really do appreciate all that. We'll be back next week to talk about what happened with this game, a wild card game against the Giants. Playoffs. I wasn't expecting that this season, so this is fun.
Playoffs.
But yeah, I'll see you next week. In the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.